Your brain made a decision. You didn't make it consciously. You didn't sit down one day and choose to let the dishes accumulate, or to let the laundry become a permanent feature of the chair in your room, or to let the counter disappear under paper and receipts and things you'll deal with later. But your brain made the decision anyway. And here's the part that will change how you see this entirely. It was the right decision. Not a good decision, not one you choose again, but a rational one, a precise biological response to a problem your nervous system identified long before your conscious mind caught up. This is not a video about how to clean your house. You've seen those. You've probably tried those. This is a video about why your brain stopped letting you. Let's start with something none of the other explanations mention. There's a concept in stress biology called allostatic load. It was developed by neuroscientist Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University. Allostatic load is the cumulative biological cost of chronic stress on the body and the brain. Not the stress of a bad day, not the spike of cortisol before a presentation. The grinding, sustained, unrelenting weight of keeping everything together over months and years. Every bill managed, every emotion regulated, every relationship maintained, every responsibility held. It adds up, biologically, measurably. And here's what allostatic load does to your brain specifically. It degrades the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain responsible for planning, sequencing, initiating, and completing tasks. It's the neurological equipment you need to clean a room. Not motivation or willpower, but cognitive architecture. And when allostatic load is high, that architecture is running at a fraction of its normal capacity. Not because you're weak, but because you've been spending it on something more urgent than laundry. Survival, social functioning, emotional management. The 1,000 invisible tasks that nobody counts, but your nervous system does. So, when people look at a messy home and say the word lazy, they are describing the output while completely ignoring the mechanism. They see that the floor isn't clean. They don't see that the person who lives on that floor has been spending every available cognitive resource on something harder than cleaning. Something that does not leave a visible record. Here's what makes this specific to women and why women are statistically more likely to experience this particular form of paralysis. Research by Darby Saxby and Rena Rapetti at UCLA tracked the cortisol patterns of women throughout their days at home. What they found was striking. Women's cortisol levels rose when they encountered clutter, not fell, rose. Men's cortisol, by contrast, was largely unaffected by the state of their physical environment. This is not a personality difference. This is a neurobiological one. Women's nervous systems are more sensitized to environmental disorder as a stressor, which means the messy home is not neutral background noise for a woman. It is an active drain. Every time she walks through it, her stress system activates slightly. And every activation costs something. She's not ignoring the mess. Her body is being taxed by it constantly. Now here's where it becomes a trap so precise it almost seems designed. The same chronic stress that the cluttered environment produces is the exact thing that depletes the prefrontal cortex resources she would need to address it. The mess stresses her. The stress degrades her capacity. The degraded capacity means she cannot clean. She cannot clean, so the mess remains, and the mess remains, so the stress continues. This is not a motivation problem. This is a closed loop. And understanding that it's a loop, not a character flaw, changes everything about how you see yourself inside it. But there's a second layer to this that almost nobody talks about. Have you ever stood in the middle of a messy room, genuinely intending to clean it and felt absolutely nothing? Just a strange, flat absence of response? Like your body simply wasn't receiving the signal that anything was wrong. That flatness has a name. It is called interoceptive dysregulation. And it may be the most overlooked reason why some women cannot act on their environment even when they want to. Interoception is your body's ability to sense its own internal states. Hunger, tension, discomfort, the subtle wrongness of a space that needs attention. Neuroscientist A.D. Craig, who mapped the interoceptive pathways in the brain, showed that this system runs through the insular cortex and the anterior cingulate, regions that are profoundly affected by chronic stress, trauma, and sustained emotional suppression. When those regions are dysregulated, the body's ability to feel its own signals is blunted. You stop feeling the low-grade discomfort of the mess the way other people do. Not because you don't care, but because your nervous system has turned down the volume on non-critical signals in order to cope with something louder. This is not numbness. This is triage. Your brain is prioritizing. And it decided correctly that your emotional survival required more bandwidth than your kitchen. There's a third mechanism that none of the popular explanations touch, and it's perhaps the most quietly devastating one. Psychologist Martin Seligman coined the term learned helplessness in the 1960s through a series of experiments that showed something deeply important about the nature of action. When a living creature is repeatedly exposed to situations where its actions produce no change in outcome, it eventually stops trying. Not out of laziness or out of weakness, but out of a rational experience-based conclusion that effort is useless. Now apply that to cleaning. You've cleaned before. You cleaned and within days the mess returned. You organized and within weeks the organization collapsed. You tried systems and schedules and good intentions, and the house became what it was again. Your brain logged every one of those attempts. It cataloged the outcome every single time, and at some point, it drew a conclusion. Not that you're a failure, that cleaning doesn't hold, that the system can be maintained, that effort in this domain reliably produces no lasting result. Learned helplessness around cleaning is not irrational. It's a direct, evidence-based response to a pattern your brain observed. The problem is that the brain overgeneralizes. It moves from cleaning doesn't work to I can't change this environment to I cannot change things. And that final conclusion is the one that sits beneath the surface of the mess and makes it feel immovable. But here's what Seligman also found, and this is the part that matters. Learned helplessness is not permanent. It was built through a pattern of experience, and it can be dismantled through a different pattern of experience. The architecture is not fixed. Now there's one more piece of this that women in particular need to hear. The objects in your home are not neutral. You know this. You've known it for a long time, even if you had no language for it. That pile of things you can't deal with contains things you associate with a person, a time, a version of yourself, a relationship, a hope you haven't fully released yet. The jacket that belonged to someone who isn't in your life the same way anymore. The project you started when you believed something about the future that turned out not to be true. The gift from a person who complicated your sense of yourself. Psychologists call this object attachment. And research by Randy Frost at Smith College, who has studied the psychology of clutter and hoarding for decades, shows that for many people, objects carry emotional weight far beyond their physical presence. This is not just about sentimental items. Ordinary objects become emotionally loaded when they represent unfinished business, an unmade decision, a chapter of your life that hasn't been resolved yet. When you stand in front of that pile and feel paralyzed, you're not being paralyzed by a pile of objects. You're being paralyzed by a pile of open emotional files, each one waiting for a resolution that cleaning can't provide. You cannot decide where the jacket goes until you decide what that jacket means. And that is not a cleaning problem. That is a grief problem, an identity problem, a psychological process that has nothing to do with where things are kept. This is why the advice to simply start with one item fails so often. Because the one item is never just one item. It is the whole unresolved thing in miniature. And your nervous system knows that. So what is actually happening when you can't clean your house? Your prefrontal cortex has been depleted by the sustained weight of everything else you've been managing. Your nervous system is simultaneously stressed by the environment and unable to generate enough capacity to address it. Your interoceptive system may have quieted the body signals that would otherwise motivate action. Your brain has learned through accurate observation that cleaning doesn't hold. And your environment contains objects that carry unresolved emotional weight your brain is not yet ready to process. None of these are laziness. Not one of them is a character flaw. Every single one is an intelligent, adaptive, neurologically coherent response to real conditions. Your brain is not failing you. It is protecting you using the resources it has left. The mess is not a verdict. It is a readout. It is your nervous system's external record of what it has been carrying internally. And the reason it can feel so shameful, so exposing, so impossible to let anyone see is precisely because it is telling the truth about how much has been asked of you, about how long you've been running on what remained, about the gap between what your life demands and what your current capacity can hold. When you understand that, the question changes. Not, why can't I clean this? As if cleaning is the issue. But, what has been costing me so much that my brain stopped spending resources here? What has been asking enough of me that my prefrontal cortex is running at this level? What is the actual drain? And is it something I can reduce, address, or name? Because the house will not stay clean until the answer to that question changes. Not because you're broken, but because the loop has a source. The cortisol has a cause. The depletion has a reason. And no cleaning schedule in the world addresses those things. You're not looking at a mess. You're looking at a map. The mess is showing you exactly how much you've been carrying and for how long. And if you can't look at it that way, with accuracy rather than shame, something shifts, not in the room, in you. The mess didn't appear because you stopped caring. It appeared because you were caring about something harder, something invisible, something that left no record except this one. And now, at least, you can read it. Don't worry, relax. We're here to help you navigate smoothly through the river of your tensions. So hold on tight as we'll see you all in the next video.